This is the Get Real with King Arthur show. Thank you for listening. Well, on Saturday, I had a little event I want to talk about. I was headed for the gym, actually the swimming pool there, with one of my assistants. And as we were headed in, 3 young men were walking out, and one made a nasty comment. I don't know what he said to me or to my assistant. And what was so startling about it, it's so unusual because most people are so courteous and thoughtful and beautiful. I mean, and helpful and all those things. And I thought, well, how wonderful are those people who are so kind and gracious to me. And then it came to me that this was talked about in one of Wordsworth's greatest poems. And I encourage you to open your computer or your British Lit Anthology, English Lit Anthology, and look for lines written a few miles above Tintern Abbey. I was there, by the way, a couple times. In Wordsworth, you can't understand Wordsworth without understanding that all his poetry is post-nervous breakdown poetry, almost. And he's concerned with holding on the connection between life and joy. That's a pretty important thing, isn't it? And, can you, in the morning, can you get your cup of coffee and drink it, enjoy that? The connection between life and joy, don't lose it. And he talks about challenges to that wonderful connection. Of course, the love of nature and the love of his sister, Dorothy, were important there. But then he talks about things that tend to militate against that connection between joy and happiness. And he talks about the connection first, I should say. He said, that best portion of a good man's life, his little unremembered acts of kindness and of love. Listen to that. A good man, what's the best thing about him? Little things he did without thinking about them. Acts of kindness and of love. Now, I think of one that I did. I think of some I didn't do, too. I was tenting at Green Lakes State Park near Syracuse, New York. And I had my dog tray with me. And next to me was a tent with 5 high school boys. Well, I guess I greeted them or something. But anyway, in the middle of the night, it rained violently, as it can in upstate New York. And although my tent remained up, their tent fell. And in the morning, when I looked out my screen door to take my dog Trey for a walk, there they were standing wet, and their tent was down and they were wet. And I said, come on, boys, we're going to go to a restaurant and have breakfast on me. And so, I forgot about it. 50 years later, I got an email from one of the boys, how much that meant to them, that I would take them when they were sopping wet out for breakfast. Well, now, lest you think I'm just self-congratulatory making, there's one time I'm very ashamed of myself. I was in Bethlehem in Israel. We had walked from Jerusalem to Bethlehem without knowing it was only 4 miles. And we decided to take a bus back. Well, we're at the bus station. There are a bunch of buses, and I don't know um, uh, uh, Arabic or whatever they were speaking, I don't know. And a boy about 12 was grabbing my coat, and I just pushed him aside. Someone said he was just trying to tell you which bus to get on. You know, that has haunted me all my life. How could I do such a thoughtless act? This boy trying to help me out. So sometimes we are not helpful at all, like those young men that spoke rudely to my assistant or me, I don't know which. And then Wordsworth goes on to talk about things that militate against life and joy. And he lists greetings where no kindness is. They're little things, isn't it? Hello. Goodbye. The dreary intercourse of daily life. The talk, the joyless in towns and cities. And it just sort of drains you away. When there's talk with no love or no personal reaction, and he says, these detract from that bond between life and joy. Those little unremembered acts. And I'm just saying, you need to be aware of those little things, the greetings that you give and smiles and whatever are important. You don't even have to think about them. It should just be natural to you to say nice things. And I was going out of the restaurant, and a man touched my arm and said, "I like your hat." Well, well, that was a nice thing. And I'm loaded with all those greetings that are not just routine, but have a little touch of love and kindness in. And I also think that I must not be grumpy and do a little pleasantries and smile. I told you before, sometimes I think a person who's mostly blind is just sour and ugly and whatnot. Oh, no. Well, greetings where no kindness is. Those little unremembered acts of kindness and of love, how important they are. And Wordsworth said they were so important. And nature and his memories of his sister kind of had helped him to counteract the daily grind of everyday life. Well, thanks everybody out there whose little acts of kindness and of love and greeting have been so important to me and to my life. So have a great day. And do read that wonderful poem by Wordsworth. And you can get it on your computer, you can get it in books and whatnot, and read about how Wordsworth kept that bond between life and joy through computer.